dating anymore. And no, it's not because people are lazy, shallow, or afraid of commitment.
We're in a full-on dating recession.
Dating these days is literally impossible. No one is actually single. We're all in like 6 different imaginationships, 2 different situationships.
Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about why dating for Gen Z seems not to be dramatic, but
here's why dating today is nearly impossible.
Gen Z is the first generation to grow up in a digital age. The way people interact, flirt, date in this generation, as well as their dating expectations, are completely different from 40 years ago when you couldn't just swipe right or slide into someone's DMs to show you're interested. Now, I don't think this dating recession we're seeing is really due to Gen Z themselves, but rather the digital culture that we're growing up with. So this is a little interesting since this is the first time digital culture has been introduced to our society, and nobody really has the experience or insight on how to navigate this brand new set of norms and challenges. So let's get right into the meat of it. How has social media and the digital age transformed dating as we know it? So first of all, dating as well as life as we know it has just become way too efficient. Everything is so fast and so effortless now. Let's say you're hungry and you don't feel like cooking today. You don't have to get up, get dressed, drive to the restaurant, order food, drive back home anymore like people had to do 20 years ago. Now you can just press 3 buttons on your phone and food is gonna spawn at your front door. And I'm gonna keep comparing Gen Z dating to millennial dating. Just keep this in mind and ask yourself what dating would have looked like for our parents. Social media is really just bypassing all the hurdles and hiccups that are actually an essential ingredient in relationship and connection building. Let's use another example. So picture this. Back in the day, before the internet, the only way you would encounter a stranger is by being outside in the real world. Or in other words, touching grass. You're at a cafe and you see a stranger who's your type. So now you have 2 choices. Number 1, gather the courage to talk to them. You might get rejected, but there's also a choice that you won't get rejected. And they might want to get to know you too. Or number 2, do nothing and save yourself the embarrassment. You might never see them again. Mind you, you don't know their name, they don't have a username, you don't know anything about them because you didn't ask and you didn't approach them. So do you already see that huge difference in effort and courage and commitment you would have had to have just to even say hi to someone? Personally, I think that putting a lot of effort into something, whether it be a person, a project, a major, naturally gives it more meaning, connection, and makes it a little more special and cherished. Social media has just completely deleted this process and replaced it with convenience. Nowadays, you can simply swipe right, send a DM, and there's really no risk for it. Like, there's no rejection, there's no effort, there's no emotions invested. Like, sending a DM takes 2 seconds. And if it doesn't work out, you have thousands of other people at your fingertips. Which leads me to my next point. There's just way too many options. Again, before the internet, you would only run into strangers out in the real world. In person, only if you touch grass. But now, there's an endless sea of strangers on every corner of the internet, all in the palm of your hand. And having too many options kind of gives you decision paralysis. Like, for example, if you asked me if I would rather have the pink or the green Sunny Angel, I would go with the pink one. That's an easy question. But now, if you ask me which one I want, I would have to think about it a little bit.
You know, I might have some FOMO going on. And yeah, I like the pink one, but I kind of like the red one too. What if I pick the pink one now and I end up liking the red one more later?
And I feel like when you know there's a ton of options available, it makes it harder to pick and stick with one. And you're always gonna wonder what else is possible. Like, what if there's even more options out there? And social media does not help with this, by the way. People are just way too easily accessible now. You don't even have to go out of your way or get out of bed to have a conversation with someone anymore. Also, I feel like this is notable that infidelity is now rampant just because it's so easy easy. Like, cheating has always been a thing, but I feel like now it's a lot easier to. And because of that, there's definitely a lot of people who might have trust issues from this or become apprehensive of getting into a serious relationship, which is very understandable. I could actually talk about this a lot, but today we're going to be focusing specifically on the effect of social media on dating. So here we go. Dating is superficial. Social media has transformed how people are choosing partners as well as their priorities.
He's a girl best friend. Where? Gaslighter. Where? Looks malnourished. Where?
Now, I can't talk about Gen Z dating without also talking about dating apps. People on dating apps will create a profile to let people know a little bit about them. And actually, your Instagram profile can also act in the same way. For example, whatever people post will show the viewer a little bit about them, what they look like, what their hobbies are, where they've traveled to, and maybe even their tax bracket. Because, you know, some people be flexing. I'm sure it's no surprise when I say people's socials are usually just a highlight reel of their lives. But imagine this profile, this highlight reel, being your first impression of this person, or being your only impression, rather than meeting them in person and being able to hear their voice, see their facial expressions, mannerisms, and how they conduct themselves in real life. With the rise in popularity for dating apps, it's not really surprising to see that some people are choosing their partners based on this social media resume, and usually people on these apps are choosing based on physical appearance alone, or even the persona that this curated profile represents. Like, we have to remember that social media is a highlight reel, not reality. And it's also really easy to lie or make yourself look like you're something you're not. Like, for example, I had a whole Twitch audience fooled for years, okay, thinking that I live by myself, I have my own apartment, I drove a Porsche, and I was single. And nobody ever knew, okay? Like, let me explain. You know how people are really performative on social media? Like, they'll flex what they're eating, what they're wearing, who they're hanging out with, and even who they're dating. Okay, I'm sorry, but side note, is this a relationship between you and your partner, or you and 1,000 other people? You know what I mean? Like, I always say to practice keeping things to yourself, like, especially as a oversharer and chronic yapper myself. I know it's fun to share things, but girl, you don't know who's watching. And I always say this, like, what people don't know, they cannot ruin. And I'm not saying to feed out false information to the world like I did, okay? I'm just saying, your relationship or situationship or talking stage doesn't really need to be publicized, bestie. Keep that to yourself, okay? Or at least restrict it to your own people, but you don't want everyone to know your business. Alright guys, so I saved my favorite reason for last. The final boss of why Gen Z is undateable is social media. And I know I blame everything on social media and it's literally my scapegoat, but hear me out. We have lost the plot. The expectations a lot of people have now are just so lopsided. Let's talk about some of the trends that I've personally been seeing on my timeline, and feel free to leave more in the comments if I missed anything. I would love to hear about what else is going on out there. So one trend I see a lot of is extravagant gifts, or just like a very extravagant, luxurious lifestyle. I think we've all seen the couple goals video montages of girls flexing what their man got for them, and it'll be things like fancy dinners, 1,000 roses, a luxury vacation somewhere, matching outfits, spontaneous gifts, which sounds amazing, and I wish on every woman to experience these things at some point in their life, but I just feel like these things shouldn't be representative of a relationship the way that it's portrayed in social media. Like, it's very much romanticizing luxury and material things, and it kind of skews the perception of what an ideal relationship should look like, and puts emphasis on material things rather than trust, loyalty, love, and respect, which are probably the most sacred and rewarding things that come from a romantic relationship. Okay, so my next point actually kind of piggybacks off of the luxury gifts, and it's the fact that every other pretty girl who doesn't work and goes to Pilates on my timeline gives dating advice to find a provider man. Now, I understand where they're coming from when they say this, but I think the definition of a provider man is kind of unclear. Like, I'm seeing a lot of different versions of this. So one definition that I do really like and agree with is that a provider man is someone who works hard to provide you with your needs. This can include acts of service, emotional needs, or financial support. My definition, I think, of a provider man would be someone like Kwan-sik from When Life Gives You Tangerines. This is probably one of my favorite dramas and I highly recommend it. But if you don't know what it is, he is a very poor man, but he will do whatever it takes to put food on the table for Aesun, his wife, and the kids. He's very dedicated, selfless, caring, always looking out for his family. 10 out of 10 character, 1000% provider man. Now, the definition I think most people automatically think of when they hear the words provider man is a man who provides financial support to a point where we don't have to work and we can sit at home and twiddle our thumbs and be a stay-at-home Pilates girlfriend. Which is, that sounds nice, but it can be a little problematic because is this man's your source of income or your partner? Me personally, I would feel really bad if my partner worked really hard and I didn't contribute, especially like if they get tired or stressed from work. Like, it's not a bad thing to want a better life for yourself, but you can always build that together with your partner and not just expect it from them, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying like all girls expect this. It's just like, this is just what the girls be saying online. And if you're an outlier with a 0.1% earner boyfriend who's happy to pay for your lifestyle and doesn't expect you to work, that's amazing. But for the rest of us, I think we need to acknowledge that yes, although it's possible to have a super rich boyfriend, it's just statistically so rare. Like, you might see a unicorn before you get a gajillionaire boyfriend. And also, this is from my personal experience, I do have some friends with these wealthy unicorn partners, and let me tell you, like, it's not as glamorous as it seems. Because oftentimes, these relationships will have sort of an imbalanced power dynamic. That's, in my opinion, not the healthiest. So yeah, it's rare to find a 0.1% earner partner, and it's even rarer to find one that's down to earth and compassionate. Anyway, another reason why social media makes dating so hard is because there's so many performative relationships online. Oh my god, you guys, I've been waiting for this one. Now, don't get me wrong, I think relationship goals TikTok is really cute too, okay? But it's just important for us to discern that these videos are actually a highlight reel of a relationship and do not tell the whole story. Not to mention, they're completely staged. Like, there's no way you can tell me that these are candid because, first of all, why is everyone so hot? And yeah, like, these are sweet gestures, but let's not act like this video wasn't fully unproduced, okay? With fixed lighting, angles, multiple takes, and exaggerated gestures. Like, if I were to candidly film a cute moment with me and my boyfriend, most likely he would be in mismatched gym clothes and I would look like this. Because this is how I deadass look 100% of the time I'm not filming or getting dinner with my friends. Obviously, these type of videos will never show the unglamorous parts of a relationship, like disagreements, getting annoyed when he farts too much, moments of doubt, mental health struggles, and compromise. So when you start to experience these things that aren't very fun, romantic, or hashtag couple goals, you might mistake that as a sign to leave. These 15-second highlight reels are not real life, you guys. If you want to see a real couple, think about your parents or your grandparents and how they just be chilling at home most of the time. Like, a relationship is building a life together with someone, and it's not a show and it's not a flex. Another thing I want to talk about is romance even real, or is it just in the movies? As a huge romance lover myself, I can confidently say that a lot of the media we watched growing up has portrayed love and romance as this magical force with intense passion. It's effortless, it's magnetic, love knows no bounds, and people will move mountains for love. The movie doesn't end until the romantic interest likes you back, and you can at long last be together and finally be happy. Which is crazy because you can absolutely be happy be before, during, or without a relationship, okay? Or how the happy ending of every drama is when the couple finally gets married, which is kind of a crazy message. And I personally know people in real life who be thinking marriage is the end goal and marriage is the final stage of a relationship or the finish line. But girl, hell no, it's actually just the beginning. Like, ma'am, this is just the beginning of the rest of your lives together before shit hits the fan and before life starts getting a little more serious and throwing curveballs at you as life does. The issue with portraying love as fireworks and magic, Disney fairy tale, love is so powerful, love conquers all ideology is that it puts emphasis on the emotional highs, like all the exciting first experience you share with your crush, the angst, anticipation, the butterflies. But that level of emotional height and excitement, people usually call it the honeymoon stage, it doesn't last forever. And because people are so conditioned to think that love is euphoric and intense, they might get confused when the heightened emotions start to taper off and might interpret this as losing feelings or feeling like they're with the wrong person. But the way I see it is after the honeymoon phase ends, you enter a new phase. It's quieter, it's peaceful, the ups aren't as high and the downs aren't as low. It's more stable and it's beautiful in its own way. You're no longer getting to know each other as rapidly. You know his favorite foods and what time he goes to the gym every day. There's less friction, more understanding. You know each other's strengths, weaknesses, and triggers, and you go through life as a team. You don't like pho, but insist that you're craving it because you know he likes to eat pho. He makes you breakfast in the morning because he knows you're lazy ass is gonna skip breakfast if he doesn't. But this phase never really makes it into the movies because it's boring. Secure and peaceful love just doesn't really grab attention or make an interesting plot the same way a brand new crush does with all the tension, confusion, and fireworks. But that doesn't mean it's any less rewarding than the initial stages when sparks fly. Personally, I like this stage better because I feel like I'm not feeling around in the dark anymore and there's no surprises. Like, I'll learn things, but it won't be like crazy. Like I said, a healthy relationship is built on a foundation of trust and respect. These are things that take time to solidify, but also require effort to maintain. Marriage is not the finish line to a relationship. Actually, there is no finish line. Just like anything else in life, your physique, your career, your self-development, you don't just get to a point and stop putting in work forever. Life is a marathon, not a sprint.
People don't understand that like slow motion is better than like no motion. People aren't patient.
All these things require constant care and effort to maintain or even improve. Thriving and success doesn't come out of nowhere, it comes from small deposits of effort consistently built up over time. Now, I know a lot of points I made in this video make it seem like love is a dying concept, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make. I'm just saying that the times have changed now and it's a little difficult to navigate because we're on a brand new map and there's no blueprint on how to navigate these new situations, so it's normal to feel a little lost. You know, we just have to pivot and adjust to the changing times. But love is not dead. Love exists because I love my dogs no matter how much they annoy me and no matter how many times she makes this face at me. And there's literally nothing in the world that would make me stop loving them. And if you can love others, it's kind of unreasonable to think that someone can't love you back. So yeah, I didn't really want to give like relationship advice today because relationship advice is never a one-size-fits-all type of thing. Everyone's personalities, circumstances, preferences, and upbringing are just so vastly different. One thing I will say though that I've observed from people who are single or in the dating market is that I think there is a huge shortage of people looking to build a deeper connection in a relationship, or they just don't understand how to in this ever rapidly changing online space with new trends and expectations every week.
Wanna go for pizza?
Sure, when? Hello? Hello?
And yes, you should have high expectations, but you should also have compassion and understanding if you're looking for a partner, okay? I'm not saying everyone is like this, but personally, I just know some people who only care about what the man can bring to the table, what the man can give them, or what kind of image they will have standing next to this person. Like, are you looking for a bank card, social status, or are you genuinely looking for a teammate and partner to do life with? Like, these are all valid reasons, but I think it's just something that you have to get clear on before looking to date in the first place. Nowadays, there's a lot of pressure to appear perfect and as though we have a perfect relationship because everyone else seems that way. But I think one way to look at things is this. What would be the ideal relationship for your 90-year-old self? And then things aren't so complicated anymore. When it comes down to it, I feel like everyone kind of wants the same thing. To be happy, healthy, free of worries, and to share your life experiences with loved ones. Then your criteria for a partner becomes quite simple. Someone you can build a peaceful and harmonious life with. Okay, last thing I'm going to end off with, and don't get mad at me for this, but it's just a personal opinion, okay? Opinion and observation. Okay, so all of my girlfriends and myself who have long-term partners, I noticed that we have partners that are not super chronically online. I mean, maybe because my friends are a little bit older than me and they're kind of boomer. Like, they'll watch some memes and stuff, but they don't really know what trends are going on. They don't know internet slang. They have a social life, they go out with friends, and they're not subscribed to like brain rot or this internet realm of likes, views, clout, and baddies and whatever. Anyways, I guess my point, as with all my other videos, is to touch grass. Literally go out and spend some extra time in the real world. Have more human, in-person interactions and less online interactions. Go outside and have some alone time with yourself and your own thoughts away from the constant buzz of this make-believe digital realm. Or even have a conversation with someone in real life. It's okay to spend time online, but it's also important to be able to separate that from your reality and not let it rob you of the human experience. That's everything I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching this far. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you have anything to add into this conversation. Or I would also love any feedback. I was definitely really unsure about making a dating video since I haven't personally seen the dating culture in many years, so I'm kind of just observing from a different lens. Maybe you found this topic interesting, relatable, or maybe I missed the mark with this one. I'd love to hear your thoughts and make sure to hit the subscribe button so I can see you again. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Berry9. I also make videos about how social media has manipulated the masses into a culture of overconsumption, so you can check that out if you want. Okay, love you. Bye!